Hello and welcome everyone to the final showcase of the budget decks for V-EB02. I know a lot of you were quite impatient for this. The main reason why I delayed this is because I wanted to wait for the English scan so we can just look at everything so simply like we do just right here. So this is gonna be, a budget deck for every clan. Some of them are actually very good. Some of them were quite hard to build, especially Granblue, but I think you'll see when we go into it. But we're gonna start off with Aquaphor, same order as the set breakdown is gonna be in. Oops. But this is going to be the budget decks. So, I already talked about Navel Gazer before, and finally we're talking about him properly. So, we are running Axel markers because this is an Axel clan. Eric, as always. 4 Navel Gazers. When you attack with him for the 3rd battle or more, you can stand one of your rearguards for an extra counterblast and get an extra 10k on him as well. Super nice. Then we have Diamantis to give us even more attacks, which is a very consistent move with Navel Gazer. Then we have Riptide, because he's just a big chunky attacker. You can maybe cut one for a 3rd Diamantis, but I tried to keep the overall count of triple rares quite low at 6 here. Then we have 4 of the trial deck Algos. You get 4 of him in the trial deck, so it should be quite easy to pick him up. And he's also, he's a restander on the first battle, and he also restands stuff if you ride him, so overall a great card. 4 Title Assaults, he's your only 4 of triple rare in the deck. I think he's really good, so I think you should be playing 4. If you can get even 2 or 3, it's definitely fine, but normally he's not that expensive, so I think getting 4 shouldn't be too hard. And then 3 Basils, because I think this is a great card because he's a 19k attacker when he's attacking for 4th or more battle. Another trial deck card in Tier Knight Teo. Just great on hit pressure to pump up your units by a bunch of power and just make great lines, and overall just really good for this variant of the deck. Then we have 3 Vivianas. I put her down to 3 because 1, again, it's a bit more budget oriented because then you're only running 7 double rares, 4 of which are the draw perfect cards. But even then, her skill is good because she gives you an extra card in hand and pumps up something by 3k, which it should say here. But I think because you only get her skill off so rarely because she's an unhit on 3rd battle or more, I think putting her down to 3 is okay because that means we can play 3 Influent Dagger, which is actually really good because he's gonna pump up by power quite a lot in this build because we can 100% get extra battles at with Navel Gazer. So because of that, I think 3 Influent Dagger, maybe even 4, is really good in this build. And then 4 of Mr. Light Signals Penguin Soldier for the extra counter charge and extra 5k on our multi-attacking units as well. So you do want to be running it for just for that reason, really, and the extra counter charge. As for triggers, this time around we have 6 draws and 6 fronts and 4 heals. I think fronts in this build just work really well because you're restanding a bunch. Sure, you're gonna be attacking with your Vanguard on the 3rd battle, but that means, first battle, let's say, is gonna be without any boosts. Second battle might also be without any boosts, but then 3rd battle will withstand something, and then you're still gonna be able to get like 3 to 4 more attacks with the boosted units with the trigger powers. So I think you won't be restanding your units as much. Sure, stacking crits on Diamantis is quite good in this build, but I think fronts in this build are quite nice just because of how the deck works, because it's a lot more aggressive, it wants to really push for game faster. Maybe you can, do the surprise factor and play a couple crits if you really want it, but I think even with 6 front, 6 draw, it's perfectly fine. You can cut down to 4 draw, 8 front if you want, or 4 draw, 2 crit, 6 front, whichever you feel is better. Trigger lineups are quite flexible in Aqua Force, I feel, especially in the Navel Gazer variants. So that is it for the Aqua Force one. I think it's quite simple, but if you do have any other questions, I can go over them in the comments as well. The second of the budget decks is going to be Granblue. So this one was especially hard to build, I think, just because of how amazing Baskirk is, and it's really hard to find a replacement for him, and I honestly don't think I really did. So this is a Protect clan, so you need your Protect markers. Guiding Zombie is the obvious starter. Then I'm playing 4 Skull Dragon here because I think he's gonna be your best ride target in considering the budget, because he still gets the plus 2k even if you ride him for every card in your drop zone. So he's kind of like a scaling attacker that just gets harder for your opponent to handle, but then you still have enough copies to also call him to your rearguard circles when needed. Then I play 3 Breaches because he's already a good rearguard, but being able to ride fix into him or call him when you have excess counterblast will also help to not waste so many resources from your hand. And then one flanger, because I don't think you really want to play more than one, even in a budget variant, because it's just a bit too much, I think, and you'd rather just wait until late game when you can call him and not worry too much. Then we have 4 Ruin Shades, which is your main way to set up a big drop zone early game, which is very important. And then 4 Captain Night Mist, gonna be the best way to call things from your drop zone this time around, because once you have 10 or more cards in drop zone, he can call anything, and so that's how you're gonna pull in those Skull Dragons and stuff like that. But even then, you can use Night Mist early on to call out Evil Shade, and then use Evil Shade to call out other stuff later on. And then 3 Blue Bloods, same reasoning as in the deck preview, so if you want more detail on that, you can check that out. Then I decided to play 4 Marios, which I think I should mention actually that Granblue is already a budget clan. It doesn't really cost that much to build the deck, so I think normally this should be affordable even with the 8 triple rares, so at least I hope so, because this is a really good card and I just feel like it's too important to not play a 4 of, and it's going to stay in the deck forever no matter how good, you know, the future support is, because that second skill is just really insane. 4 Dancing Colossus for the counter charges, as we will be counterblasting a fair bit in this deck as well. 3 Norman the Ghosty for that early game setting up drop zones and also adding extra power to stuff. 3 Evil Shade this time, because we don't have Baskirk to consistently call stuff. We're going to be relying a lot more on just milling stuff really fast in early game and then using Evil Shade to just banish copies of extra cards and then call those cards out. So Evil Shade is a lot more important in the budget variant, I think, just because we don't have Baskirk. And then triggers are the standard: 4 perfect draws, 4 heals, 8 crits. And then obviously your main thing that you want to be buying is the Baskirk, because this card is just, it's so well made. It just has instant pressure. It has ways to just always call things out every turn and start your combos. So I think you want to be getting the Baskirks, putting this down to 3, putting this down to 1 or 2, and then shifting around some more ratios here and there, like, you know, taking the Evil Shade down to 2 and stuff like that. So I think normally this should be pretty affordable at around the $50 rate, because you have 8 triple rares and then 12 double rares technically, but none of them are really that expensive outside of the perfect shield that should be like $3 or $4. So normally this should also fall around the $50 price point. And now finally we're going to be taking a look at the Dimension Please budget deck, which is focusing on the Miracle Beauty. So we do have our force markers and our usual starter weight in Goyusha. I'm running the 4 normal Dayushas because I think it's quite worth it. If you're low on budget, maybe you could cut 2 and play 2 Silbard, but I think running 4 is good because he's still a good first ride target, and then only maybe use second ride Miracle Beauty, because then it's a bit easier to have her base 30k power, and also to stack enough force markers on your rearguard circles this time around to make sure that you can actually hit the numbers on rearguard circles as well. So Miracle Beauty, she just kind of restands other Miracle Beauties. That's why it's good to, you know, push up the power on the rearguards too. And to help us do that, well, to push up, because we're putting our force markers on the rearguard circles, we need units that can push up the power of the Vanguard. So we have 4 Die Dragon and 4 Die Brave. So you have 8 triple rares in this list, so I hope that's not too much. These should, I think this is like 2 or 3 apiece. This should be maybe 4 or 5 apiece, so it shouldn't be too much, I think. So hopefully still keeping it around the $50 budget. Then this is, well, let's finish going over the grade 2s. 4 Mad Scepter X and 4 Miracle Dandy. Even though this is a Miracle Beauty list, that doesn't mean you have to run any other Miracle units, but Miracle Dandy is a really good card because he gets plus 10k when you place him as a shield, even from hand. And then Mad Scepter X is just your 10k intercept. It's pretty nice, so I think it's worth running. 3 Commander Laurels because he's good to pump up the power and critical of your rearguard Miracle Beauties too, and then you can restand them with Larrabis, so that's also quite nice. But you do have to essentially call over one of your rested units to use Larrabee after that. Or you have to have a Larrabee behind another Miracle Beauty, and then that Miracle Beauty will be stood by another Miracle Beauty's effect. And then we have 3 Die Mariners to add some guard pressure, and, you know, just for the overall game plan. 3 Larrabees because she's 7k base, so I didn't want to play 4. And I think having 3 of the other ones is also fine. It's just Die Brave that you want to have 4 times. But Larrabee is also a very good unit and functions as sort of like a restander for your rearguard Miracle Beauties if you do, you know, even if you don't manage to hit the power threshold. For triggers, we have 4 heals, 4 of the perfect draws, 2 normal draws, and then 6 crits. So this is the build, and you know, it does focus on Miracle Beauty quite a bit. Your general plan is to first ride Dayusha usually, and then ride into Miracle Beauty and call yourself an extra Miracle Beauty. That way you'll have a, you know, with any kind of boost should be 21, and then you only need her to be 30k, so plus 5k from this, plus 5k from this, she's hitting for over 30 normally, and then that should overall be okay in that sense. So I think it's good with this deck to focus on putting the force markers on the side, because that way you can have another Miracle Beauty on the rearguard circles that can restand, so I think that's an overall good game plan. But if you do want to go and upgrade, the only real purchase target is the Great Dayusha VR, but that is going to be a different deck of its own, so do keep that in mind when you decide to buy him or not. So he will help the deck a lot, but then you're going to be kind of deviating from the Miracle engine, so you can also take out the Larrabis and playing more of just pure Dayusha, which is overall the better deck, but obviously more expensive. So that's going to be it for the Dimension Police segment, and actually that's going to be it for all of these budget decks. So I hope you guys enjoyed this video. I know that, you know, they are budget decks, so they're not the most optimal decks, but with Miracle Beauty I think this is pretty good even for a budget deck, because Miracle Beauty is just a rare herself, her main supporting card is a common, and then you have your 8 triple rares, and then what, 7 plus the draw triggers, so 11 double rares, so it might exceed the $50 limit a little bit. In that case I think you can cut some of the normal Dayushas maybe, or maybe cut some Die Dragons if they're too expensive, or just, you know, try to kind of play around with whatever you have and see what you can do. So I hope you guys enjoyed this budget video. I did want to wait until the English scans came out before I made it, so I hope it's still enjoyable to that extent. So that's going to be it for me today. Don't forget to check out the second channel and click the bell button, as well as check out the social medias in the description and join the Discord channel if you haven't already. But on that note, that's going to be it for me today. I'll see you guys next time. Bye bye.